And welcome back, everyone. Let's get to the final leg of this here, and that is the preview of this weekend. So we have the Easter weekend games. Excuse me a moment. There we go. And as we get ready for this, it's a big one for everyone involved because we have 2 weeks off coming here, and then it'll be weekend of the 26th that another game will be played. So over these next 2 weekends, there's going to be a lot of retooling now that every team will be about 4 to 5 games in, and an actual skill level is probably being obtained. As I said, just I had planned to do a power ranking hierarchy earlier. Due to some difficulty, I just decided, let's just do it during the break after we've got this set of games finished. Because at this point, we should have a pretty clear picture of at least the general tiers that everyone's in. So half the games are being loaded up on Friday, which makes some sense. It is going to be a little easier to get games scheduled there. So let's look at this. Today we've got Boston hosting San Diego. As of the time this gets published, there'll be about 30 minutes to game time. So you'll be able to get kind of an idea of what I think here. But I think Boston, again, will probably be struggling to succeed. I do think this will be a closer game. I think I'm going to go about a 2-goal loss. I'm going to give them a goal and say that they take a 3-1 defeat. But San Diego, very solid squad. They have been trying to make their name definitely a lot stronger. So I'm going to say this one is going to be a continuation of forward momentum on this cross-country trip. Boston is not the team that I would say is a big threat to a team traveling cross-country, so I think San Diego's still fine. On the other hand, Angel City, playing at the top of the table, might run into a bit of trouble going against Orlando. I'm going to say this one's probably going to be a draw. I actually projected in my preview video of this match a 2-2 draw. And a lot of that just boils down to I'm looking at Orlando. They've got some momentum, but they can't seem to string it together for multiple games. The most recent one was pretty lacking offensively, so I think they'll be back to their old selves scoring here in their home field. I expect that Angel City will continue on with their front line still being pretty solid. So I'm going to say that it's just going to be a fairly even affair. We're going to see a 2-2 tie, which means Angel City will not be top of the table going into the break. But nonetheless, it's a good place to be. 4 matches in, you wouldn't have lost any, just dropped 2 points, and that's a solid start. That is a very solid start, and hopefully I'm proven wrong and they come away with a 4th win. Also today, you've got Houston and Louisville. Now again, you're looking at the times here. I'm doing them locally, but in terms of actual start time, Houston being, if they were in Eastern time, would start 30 minutes after the Angel City game. They are once again trying to showcase that they can rebound. They took their first loss of the season against Angel City, and now they're playing Racing Louisville. I have said, as of the last one, Louisville looks like they struggle to generate points, to generate goals when they're not in their home field. I'm kind of expecting the same here. I think they do generate one, but there's going to be a lot of shots. And I think that might make things difficult for Houston because just that raw number, they won't be able to keep up with that. So I'm thinking this ends up being a 1-1 draw. I'm not sold on Houston's ability to generate multiple goals against high caliber competition. So I'm going to say they get stuck and they just don't get that second goal that they need to pull ahead. Moving forward, we got Gotham going to Utah here. This will be a later game. This will be, for the projected time, this would be about 10 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Pacific. But yeah, in Salt Lake, this should be a win. They have been playing a solid effort so far, and they're playing a team in Chicago that is still pretty pretty weak in terms of playing the 50-50 balls. I do think Chicago will give them a game. I don't think this will be a dominant effort by Utah. I'm going to say they take a 1-0 win. But it's a gap. Chicago right now needs to develop their midfield a little bit. And until that happens, I'm going to struggle to see them racking up results. Nonetheless, it's a solid team to build off of. But yeah, it's probably going to be a couple years before they're really able to challenge the upper tier, and probably a year before I think they're ready to be a real threat to Utah in their house. So for the time being, I'm going to give Utah the full 3 points. Going into Saturday, we got 3 matches. One of them being Kansas City hosting Gotham. This is a push-come-to-shove matchup. You got the Shield winner versus the Cup winner, and neither one has looked great. On Kansas City side, you've lost 3 straight, and you struggled to win your first game. On Gotham side, you've scored 1 goal in 4 games, and because of that, you have only managed to win 1 game against an expansion team. So the question now becomes, which one is going to put it together first? And in this situation, I'm going to favor the team at home. It's still going to be a difficult one, but I'm again going with a 1-0. I think Gotham's still struggling to prove they're able to score. I think Kansas City has at least proven they're capable of putting a goal on the board. So I'm still going to hold to Kansas City pulling this win off. Nonetheless, it's a very good matchup for anyone who wants to see, just because you get to see the 2 hardware winners duke it out. Even if they're both a little off their game and they're not playing as well as they were a year ago, it's still a fun matchup and one that should be water cooler worthy of conversation. Moving on from that, a little later, we have North Carolina hosting Portland in a battle of a team who's underachieved and a team who's overachieved. Portland has looked surprisingly decent in this early going, and North Carolina has been somewhat flat, dropping points where I wasn't expecting them to. I do think that corrects here. Being at home for the second straight week, I think we're going to see things start to right themselves. I'm going to say it's 2-1. North Carolina pulls this one off. They will at least get another 3 points into the standings. Portland takes their second loss of the year and is more proving that they're a little better in the friendly confines. As we know, their loss came in a matchup at San Diego, and I think we'll see something similar here. It's going to be more difficult for them to generate on the road. That's where I think some of the flaws in the system will start to reveal themselves. They're very dangerous at home. Like, obviously, being up in the Pacific Northwest, they've shown that they are incredibly capable. But I do think there are weaknesses in the team, and if the pattern I'm looking at right now is it a result of being away from the friendly confines? We will see as they go into the Raleigh area if they can still pull something out. And then we have the nightcap. This is the one we'll be watching. Seattle Reign hosting Denver Summit. We have a team who showed up surprisingly flat against Portland, but otherwise has looked pretty good. And a team in Denver who is overachieving. I'm unsure where to put this one because to this point I've not been able to sit down and watch Denver for a full match. This is actually really exciting for me. And with Seattle, it's unclear what they are actually going to become and whether or not it's just been the opponent level, whether it's they just happen to have some off days. I'm going to look to this one and try to generate a pattern out of it. I'm going to say that Seattle probably plays flatter than normal. Denver has been very foul heavy. Definitely been flying by the seat of their pants, but I think it works out for them at least in terms of gaining a point. I will say this ends up being a 1-1 draw. Denver still manages a point and takes a couple off of Seattle. And that's where we'll be at the end of that match. I'm looking forward to it, though. I've been looking forward to seeing the expansions play. I got to see Boston in their opener. Haven't gotten really to sit down with Denver, so this will be a nice time. All right, and the week's capper, the last game for a few weeks. Bay FC at home taking on Washington Spirit. Bay has looked pretty solid. 3 matches in, they got pretty thoroughly beaten by Angel City, but have won their other matches. Washington has been a draw machine. They lose their opener in a surprise to Portland and then have just drawn 3 straight times. This time around, if they are not in this one and threatening to win it, there's going to need to be some talk as they go into break. But I think this is the one where Washington finally figures something out. I'm going to give this one to them. I'm going to give it to them 2-0. I'm going to say they hold this off. But I'm not feeling strong on it. Bay FC has definitely shown to be capable. And it's more, at this point, a gut feeling on Washington that they can't possibly drop points for a 5th straight game to start the year, especially after they've gone through all that trouble to get Trinity Rodman to stay. There's going to be a lot of pressure in the front office if this does not materialize. So I'm going to say they pull this one off. But it is going to be a Easter Sunday game worth paying attention to. This one, if you can tune in at 2 p.m. Tuesday in Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern, this will be a nice matchup to bear witness to. Hope everyone was able to tune in. I'm definitely going to do that on ESPN there. With that said, we are at the end of this week. I've given you my thoughts on all 8. As I said, I will start the power rankings next week. That'll be fit in as we get to finally having 5 parts to the week, and it'll be a nice full week for us spread out as we get moving forward. As for that second week off before anything materializes, I'm going to probably look to talking about the end of USL season, probably talk about any transactions we see during this time frame, and maybe some looks at like the other leagues like WSL, Champions League. We'll figure out some things to fill in that extra week before some stuff happens. Nonetheless, we are at the end of the road here, so I hope you all had a nice time listening through all of this, and I will talk to everybody after these matches take place, and we'll talk a little bit on Saturday if you're able to tune in to the live stream of Seattle Denver. With that said, enjoy your week. Go Angels.